it's Sunday, and I think most of us who had the opportunity to gather together in our homes and watch Brad's preach are feeling really encouraged as well as connected, even though we're on different sides of the city and we're not together in person, and just really feeling so privileged to have so many people connected who have the same heart and mind. So today I just want to do a sort of continuation of what I shared yesterday, and just to clarify, when I was talking about the map for our family and in terms of having like a pattern for the day that we have with our family, I just really want to encourage us for it not to be too regimental or army-like, but to really do it with the focus being connection, and that our relationships actually flourish during this time. And it's a map to a treasure that we know that God promises for us, and that we hold it with joy. So I just know that being in the same home, whether you are married, whether you are just friends, or whether you are children of parents, we're going to have a multitude of opportunities for lots of little conflicts and irritations and misunderstandings and unrealistic expectations or disappointed expectations. I know some of that has happened in our home already, and we're only at the beginning. And so what can happen with that is we can have all these wonderful things planned, like trick shots and fun stuff, but actually the atmosphere is strained and we actually don't really want to do it because there's unresolved things underneath. And so what's interesting is relationship research talks about this, in that the focus isn't necessarily meant to be resolving all those conflicts, although that can be important. But when we focus on connecting with one another, we actually find that we have more grace for things like that, and we're able to cover over one another's mistakes, or not hearing our needs, or hurtful things can actually be resolved that much easier within a home when we feel connected to one another. So I decided I'd like to share something with you that Brad and I put together when we did a parenting course. And actually it's for parenting, and in marriage it's actually for any relationship. And basically we've looked at the word fetch. Now we are fetching one another out of isolation basically every day. You wake up as an individual, and relationships are about connection and finding one another. So we thought of the word fetch, and the amazing thing is that connection is not just one big event. It's actually like this kind of rope, many different kinds and moments of connection and finding each other that actually creates strong bonds between people. And some of you actually are only having bonds with people through WhatsApp. This thing still applies to you, so just open up your hearts. And the funny thing is, we're going to change the T. The T says touch, which is a bit controversial at this time, so I'm going to change that to talking. So with connection, the first thing we need to do is, the F stands for focus. We actually need to orientate our hearts to focus on one another and each other's needs. I think sometimes when we batten down the hatches of our lives and go, let's just survive this, we actually can become a little bit selfish and focused on ourselves and miss out on picking up what others' needs are. So we got to focus on one another, what one another is experiencing, what we're thinking and feeling, the different ebbs and flows of our lives. It takes focus and looking outward rather than only looking inward. The second part of fetch is eye contact, is actually looking into each other's eyes when we're communicating. There's nothing worse than someone looking at a screen, at their cell phone, and talking to you, and you're like, but who are you actually present to? Who are you actually engaged with? Because we were meant to be engaged with one another. And I think specifically in parenting, and obviously in marriage, but it's so key that we actually have eye contact with each other. And even just close up, like looking into each other's eyes. It's so important. That's a huge part of our body. Our body language is a huge part of what we communicate. The third one I'm going to say is talking. We've got a box of conversation starters. There's so much stuff on Pinterest, conversation starters, questions you can ask one another that you never thought to ask and you never have the time to ask. but talking about things that you don't normally think about, or that you don't normally have the time set aside to do. And it's talking about what we think, what we feel, what we've done in our past. I'm quite keen to do that after 22, almost 22 years of marriage. I know there's stuff that we don't know about each other, and we change over the years. So I think it can be a real adventure of getting to know one another in different ways. And then curious, C stands for curious, and that's being interested in what someone else is interested in. The Raffertys have done something where they were like, what are we going to do today on their day off? And that each person in the family had to choose something that they want to do, and everyone had to do it. And Vincent chose swimming, and their pool is freezing cold. So Christine said she has to wear a wetsuit because she has to do what he wants to do, same as what he has to do what she wants to do. I just think that's a wonderful way to connect, and to do it with a great attitude. And then heart response. I think this is so important. You know, we all are carrying different emotions and thoughts, and sometimes we can present something like an irritable front or a distant facade, or there's something on the outside which isn't really reflecting what's going on in our hearts. And if we want to create harmony in our homes and connection, we need to ask the Lord for discernment to pick up, what is my child really feeling? What is my partner really feeling? When they're distant, are they rejecting me? Are they not interested in me? Or are they just consumed with some thoughts that are concerning them? Or if my child is acting up, what are they feeling? Or is it their physical body just needs energy to be released? Or are they frustrated, or are they really lonely? Or we need to ask the Lord for discernment as to what's underneath, and have a heart response, respond to what's going on inside of their hearts. You know, the scripture says this. This is just one page of Proverbs. It says, whoever is slow to anger has great understanding. A soft answer turns away wrath. A gentle tongue is a tree of life. And as much as we love Jesus, and as much as we love one another, I know close proximity is going to cause wonderful opportunities for us to practice these things. So sending you all lots of love, and I also think it's awesome for us to share maybe on our Facebook page or wherever on our groups the things we're doing as groups of people, as individuals. I just think we can inspire one another to connect more closely.